Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. How are you doing today? I was sent a link to a video or a YouTube video from the one and only Ken McElroy from Rich Dad Poor Dad series. And I will be doing my own reaction video on this, but I wanted to bring this question up because, again, Ken McElroy is a multifamily apartment investor. And if you've been following Jonathan Twomley on our Thursday expert series, he is also a multifamily investing expert. So I wanted to read these predictions and see what Jonathan thinks. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing well. So let me time box this for you. Ken is putting out a prediction from June, so this month, through the end of 2022. So about 18
months.
Yeah. And he has 5 predictions. I will go through top to bottom and just see what you think.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is Ken expects the forbearance programs to officially end in 2021. So sometime between now and the end of the year. What do you think about that one?
So we're talking about the Fannie and Freddie forbearance programs for
Correct.
COVID. Yeah, I would think that makes sense. There's no real reason for forbearance if people are going back to work, and there's no reason for rent eviction moratoriums and all kind of stuff. Then there's no reason to impose no reason to offer a carrot to landlords. So I would agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. These I think these start as layups and then they get kind of contentious. So that's a layup for me. I think that's an easy agree. I'll go into more detail on what I think in my own live stream. Next, the eviction moratorium officially ends in 2021.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too. I mean, maybe you're going to have some outliers in some like super liberal cities or something where people just hate landlords in general. But even there, you might have some kind of outliers. But I think generally speaking, we're going to see as people
go back to work, one definitely goes away. You may have
that's going to go away. And I think I mean right now I think in New York it's September. Through August. Is it through September?
I think it's September. I read that this morning.
Yeah, it's a couple more months, but I mean, I don't really see it be, especially with everything, Cuomo just announced that basically like everything is open.
Yeah, right? Dude. So Madison Square Garden was full the other day.
Yeah, it is all open right now. Everything is open. So all restrictions are off. We hit 70% vaccination rate. And so like, there's no real reason to continue the rent moratorium if people are back at work. So
All right, so this is one where I think I'm going to disagree, but it'll be interesting what you think. So he talks about home prices peaking by the end of 2022. So in my mind, that means prices start to fall at least a little bit in 2023. So I don't know if you have an opinion on that, but that's what and this is national.
He says they're peaking in 2022?
Correct, that's what he said.
Is he saying there's going to be like a correction or just like it's just going to sort of...
Well, he did. He was very coy this time because he called a 40% housing crash last year, which I bet him 10 grand on. He didn't take me up on it. So he's being a lot more clever this time. He did not call a percentage. He just said peaks, which to me means it goes down. He didn't call a percentage or how much or how long, but basically we're going to have a negative home appreciation in 2023. It could be negative 1%, really? But that's what he's calling. I think.
Well, gosh, I mean, I'm frankly surprised he's saying it's going to take until next year.
Oh, really?
Because I would actually be of the mind that this may even happen this year.
Oh,
that doesn't mean it's going to be like a big correction, but I think that what you're seeing is that affordability has already become a problem.
Oh, okay.
And people are already saying it's not a good time to buy a home.
Yeah, record numbers.
Not just that, but that pressure to move to the suburbs,
is relenting.
Is now off. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, I mean, this is just anecdotal, but I've read some articles about people who moved to the suburbs and like, I don't like this. I'm moving back.
I'm going back.
Right. Yeah. So, I think that like that.
Okay.
Kind of like herd mentality that ran into like, gotta have a single family house now, like that,
all right.
That's probably is past. And I think that people are now running up against affordability constraints in a lot of places. So I wouldn't be surprised if it actually happens earlier. Now, is it gonna be a correction? I think it would require something more,
multiple things,
correction, because we just have something go on with the economy. but as long as the supply demand imbalance is there, like it is now, I think it'll keep housing prices high. But I think the climb may stop. I think you may see sort of
Okay.
like
A plateau.
plateauing and little movements around the
Okay.
plateau for a while. But
Oh,
yeah.
awesome. Folks, just a little hint. I'm going to disagree with Jonathan and Ken on that point. I will give it to you in my live stream later today. Here's one that I think is an interesting riddle to think about. And that is, he used the term renter nation.
Mhm.
Basically what that means is home ownership is peaked. Apparently, again, using his stats, I haven't verified him, but he said home ownership right now is 68%. And he thinks over the next decade, it goes lower and lower and lower. So he's calling for, he's basically saying home ownership is peaked. We're going to be more and more renters going forward. What do you think on that?
Well, I've been hearing this for about 10 years now.
Yeah, me too.
And all we've seen is movement around the historical long-term average of 65%.
Yeah.
Right. And so, if your perspective is the peak of the bubble when it was artificially pushed to 70%, then 68% looks like oh my God, it's a trend, right? But we're actually, we had been below the long-term average for a number of years after the Great Recession. And that was causing all kinds of people, particularly in the apartments industry, who were self-servingly saying, people don't want to own anymore. And I was like, we still have 63% ownership in the country. What do you mean people don't want to own anymore,
what are you talking
right?
about? This is not Switzerland.
Yeah, like what? This doesn't even make any sense, right? Yeah. And then because of COVID, it got pushed up to 68%, right? Again, that seems like the actual numbers are contrary to like these predictions. Now I know that, say, Blackstone or BlackRock, or maybe it's BlackRock, I can never keep them straight, is now going heavily into build to rent.
BlackRock,
single family.
There's a right? I've been more and more people are sending me these texts about BlackRock outbidding mom and pop investors by 50%. Right. That's not happening, folks. I read the article. You guys are being misled.
Not only that, but I mean, even a fund with the firepower of BlackRock cannot dominate the single family home market in the United States.
Not nationally.
It is just too big, right? And they probably don't want to. They probably do not want to be
everywhere to everybody. No.
Everywhere, like controlling this. There's too much risk for them, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to be correlated with the national housing market for like their entire return, right? So they're strategically going to go and buy stuff like this. And sure, maybe they're going to put a few billion into it, but I mean, how big is the housing market? It's like a multi-trillion dollar market.
multi-trillion.
So it's just, people get all bent out of shape about this stuff. Like, oh, private equity is taking over and no one will ever be able to own a home again. And like, it's just not happening, right? This is just not,
Agreed.
This is not happening. So renter nation, I mean, look, could we go down to 60-40? Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Right. But that's not renter nation. I mean,
I agree.
I
think there's lots of other things that I'll talk about in mind that could happen around this. It's kind of, I think this is really just it's the apartment community. That's where he plays. That's where his assets are. Right. It's kind of almost self-serving.
Well, and let me just temper this by saying one thing. Could it be that people wait longer to buy homes? Well, yeah, that could happen. So the period of time that they're renting is longer than it was before.
Sure.
That might happen. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that people don't want homes. Listen, for a whole decade, we heard millennials don't want to own homes.
Exactly.
Which I always thought on the face of it just seemed like utterly ridiculous. And now what happened? Well, the millennials all hit 40. They all had kids.
30.
They all decided that they're older. The oldest ones are 40 now. If they're
really? Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's true. Okay.
So yeah, we're old, Michael. we still think the millennials are like little kids, but they're not. They're like,
damn it. Almost. Oh my God.
They have some of them have teenage children, So
that's hilarious.
Yeah. So
oh my God.
I know we Gen Xers are just like, we're getting really old.
We're getting hammered from both sides.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God.
But anyway, but listen, I mean, they got older, they had kids, they need more space.
Yeah.
they're buying houses, right? So
totally agree.
it just took them, they just held out longer than their parents did. That's all. Like they were holding on to that urban lifestyle as long as they possibly could. And then at some point they're just like, I can't take this anymore. I need more space. Right. And that's all that happened.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So number 5, I think this again goes back to being a layup. He is calling for higher rates by the end of 2022. Didn't say what, just higher rates.
Yeah. I think this makes sense. I mean, I especially if you believe the inflation story, I think that we're going to have high rates. And also the Fed has already said, they've now, a year ago they were saying, oh, we're going to tolerate inflation, right? And why? Because they wanted more inflation. They've been trying to get more inflation since 2009, right? And they've only been able to get it above 2% a couple of times. So they've been saying that they want more inflation. Well, now suddenly what are they saying? They're saying we're going to have 2 rate increases at least by the end of next year, right? And so they're going back to where they were in about 2018. And I think this is good, but we can't have zero interest rates forever. We got to normalize interest rates. And the only way to like wean us off the sugar high of low interest rates is to do it a little bit at a time, right? And kind of raise things so the markets don't like crap themselves. But but so they're just going back to where they were a couple of years ago and trying to get interest rates higher because frankly it's just better. Higher interest rates are better for the economy, right? I mean,
totally agree.
Like normal people can't save money for the long term with low interest rates, right? It turns them all into speculators and bettors, and that's why we've
chasing
got
yield,
chasing yield or chasing stuff like Bitcoin in the hopes that they're gonna like make a mint because one Bitcoin is going to be $1 million, right? So I better get in. But it's because they can't save and invest in the normal ways anymore because of the low interest rate environment. So the Fed understands it's got to get interest rates back up to like kind of something that's approaching long-term historical norms. Plus, it's good for the dollar, right? I mean, if higher interest rates means a stronger dollar, that's better, for everybody, right? So that's where I think this is going to go. So higher interest rates. If
I were to say 4%'s the number, right, on December of 2022, and again, I'm talking about the 30-year mortgage just to put it in context. And I think today I think the average the last time I saw it on Wednesday was yesterday was 3.11 was the average mortgage rate. So if I said 4% was the over under, would you take the over or the under December of 20? Yeah, I would take the over. Okay. Very cool. Well, Jonathan, thank you very much for going through Ken McElroy's 5 predictions for 2022. How can people follow you and be part of your world?
Yeah, so one way is to join my Facebook community, join the other 11,000 multifamily investors there.
Wow, 11,000, shout out.
Yeah, multifamily investment community, very easy name to remember. So just you can search for that on Facebook. And another way, if you are interested in getting on my list for investments, you can search for Two Bridges Asset Management. Just Google it; will come right up.
Awesome. And again, folks, look below. Jonathan has, I suspect, over 100 hours of us talking about various topics. So if you want to know about the man, first, you have lots of material to listen to, and then go check out Two Bridges Management. Thanks, buddy.
Yep, absolutely.